Why are Democrats always trying to make life easier for sex offenders and pedophiles? We don't know, but we're going to show you a story out of Oregon where the Democrats are pushing 2 bills to make it more difficult to track sex offenders. I'm not joking. Thanks for being here. I'm going to break it all down right now. How's it going, guys? David Medina here. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. Make sure you also follow me at David Medina PDX on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. Really appreciate you. Hope you're having a great week, man. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. And, I wish we could start out the day with a little bit better news, but, we have to show you this stuff because the insane Democrats are at it again, especially here in the state of Oregon. I mean, they're going crazy all over the country, but here in Oregon, they are trying to do things that just make no sense, including making it harder to track sex offenders. And if you don't believe me, we're going to show you straight from the Oregon Senate Republican caucus. Governor, so they called it a bad bill alert. Governor Kotek's Senate Bill 821 would stop classifying sex offenders, making it harder to track them and putting Oregonians at risk. With Oregon already the #1 in sex offenders per capita. That's a fact. Oregon is the #1 in sex offenders per capita. And it's just so funny because the Democrats have literally ran the government, all branches of the government pretty much for the last 20 years. No coincidence there. This is an insult to all victims, the Senate Republicans say. Tell her no. So they had a hearing about this. And then the post-millennial. So let's go deeper into this. So I just want to show you, our friends at the post-millennial did an article about this, and we just want to expand on this and show you exactly what is going on. Oregon seeks to reduce backlog of sex offenders by eliminating risk. So there's a big law. Oregon government is so chaotic. It's so unorganized. I used to work in the Oregon government for a little bit. I worked with the Oregon Youth Authority. And even there, it was super, just the way they ran things at McLaren, super unorganized. You had kids like escaping often from the correctional facility. And then there's just a bunch of stuff going on. You just don't, they are just so unorganized. So what do what does the Oregon government do when something's unorganized? They just fudge the numbers. That's what they're good at. They fudge numbers, whether it comes to kids graduating, right? If things are failing, they just fudge the numbers. And if there's a big backlog of sex offenders that they're not able to handle, they're just going to eliminate some of the requirements for a big group of the age group of the pedophiles, this is going to be making it harder to track them. And so what does that mean? So sexual assault survivors slammed Oregon's proposed solution to address a backlog of thousands of unclassified sex offenders in the state. According to KATU, that's in a local ABC affiliate here in Portland, approximately 12,500 sex offenders live, work, and go to school in Oregon who haven't been given a risk assessment by the Oregon Board of Parole or local corrections agencies. Don't you just feel so safe if you live in Oregon? As a result, state officials don't know how likely those individuals are to commit new sex crimes. Unbelievable. Last year, Oregon lawmakers did not approve a request to give the parole board an additional $6 million to address the backlog. Yeah, we won't give them an additional $6 million, but we're going to fund literally all this DEI crap in Oregon and keep throwing money at the homelessness problem and not solving it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You just see that the Democrats in Oregon, and just Democrats regularly, but especially in Oregon, they just don't know what the hell they're doing. It's I believe a lot of it's incompetence. They just don't know how to do their jobs. They don't know how to manage funds correctly. They don't know how to manage our taxpayer dollar correctly. And you're seeing it here. The agency is under a legislative deadline to clear that backlog by December 1st, 2026. But now officials are supporting Senate Bill 821, which removes the deadline, and Senate Bill 820, which reduces the number of people that need to have risk assessments performed. Unbelievable. Board of Parole Chairperson John Bailey told the Senate Judiciary, I don't know. Again, I don't know why it's zooming out. Told the Senate Judiciary Committee last week, the board has never been funded to be able to meet that deadline. Not even a significant influx of resources at this point would allow us to meet that deadline, which is in literally 2 years. If the legislation is passed, the parole board would only need to do risk assessment on offenders who are younger than 35 years old next January and people with 2 or more sex crime convictions, but would continue to do the assessments on people getting out of prison or moving to Oregon. Why are Democrats always loosening the laws and the accountability on seemingly sex offenders, pedophile, all that? We still don't know what happened with the Jeffrey Epstein list. We literally have Republicans in control of our federal government, and we still don't know who all was involved with Epstein and the full details of how wide that whole scandal actually goes. how wide it actually goes into Hollywood, into the sports industry, into DC, into the political spectrum. We still don't know. Bailey claimed that younger offenders and these people with multiple convictions are most likely to reoffend, and the actions would reduce the backlog of unclassified sex offenders from 12,500 offenders to roughly 3,700 offenders. Rape survivor Danielle Tudor said, if these bills pass the legislative session, we will never get oversight or power back over the sex offender registry and how it works. Jane Mendoza told KATU about a level 3 sex offender from New York who moved into their community, and the outlet discovered that the man is unclassified in Oregon due to this backlog problem and would not undergo a risk assessment under Senate Bill 820. Guys, I want you to really understand what that just said. That means out of town sex offenders, they're creating a sanctuary state for sex offenders. If you want to come and live in Oregon, if you're a sex offender outside of Oregon and you want to come live in Oregon, if these bills pass and you fall into those categories, you might not even have to register as a sex offender. And you could just live a normal life like your sex crimes never happened. Do you realize how crazy that is? This is their solution to help this backlog problem? Maybe take some money from the DEI crap that you're pushing here in Oregon. Maybe some of those millions of dollars that went to the homelessness problem in Oregon could have gone to this. Because you guys aren't doing anything with that money. You guys have a $104 million shortfall in Portland. So Senator Cedric Hayden, Republican, shared a couple things on what these bills, so he shared 2 videos about each bill. So this is Senate Bill 820, would automatically label 18,000 sex offenders as low risk. Check this out.
More concerning is Senate Bill 820. Again, it is up if you would like to engage and testify with that. Senate Bill 820, brought to us by our governor here in Oregon, would take the over 18,000. The parole board says that there's 18,110 individuals that have not been leveled. They do complete about 1,000 per year, so it would take them 18 years basically to complete this process. And so to combat that, they're basically saying, governor's asking the legislature to vote on whether we agree with taking those 18,000 members, putting them basically into different categories, but saying that all of those people, with a few exceptions, would just go into level 1 if they still live in the state of Oregon.
Unbelievable. You have any thoughts on that, Producer Vlad? Producer Vlad's in the house today.
It's absolutely insane. Like, they literally, like, 1,000 a year is absolutely, that's like 3 a day. For how many employees do they have? And probably just that one, like, Oregon Board of Parole. Like, seriously.
See, Oregon government, everybody. When your government's ran by Democrats, radical Democrats, this is what you get. So that's Senate Bill 820. This is Senate Bill 821 that, if passed, would put our communities at risk. Okay, so let's hear.
Good afternoon. I'm Senator Caden. I'm a state senator for Region 6 here in Oregon. And what I wanted to share with you this evening is our governor of Oregon has proposed a couple of bills through our parole board that has
Can we hit fast forward on this guy?
To do with the leveling process of those that have been convicted of sexual crimes. And one of those bills that I'm really concerned with is Bill 821. We currently are required, or the parole board is required, to have all the leveling for those that have been convicted of these sexual crimes done by December 1st, 2026. There are over 18,000 people that have not been leveled up to this point, and so what the governor is recommending in this bill is simply to remove the requirement for that to be done at any time certain. So Senate Bill 821 is up for a hearing on March 6th in Judiciary, which would remove any requirement for the board to complete the process of leveling these sex offenders. We hope that you reach out to your lawmakers.
That's crazy. By the way, I know you guys are probably seeing Kamala like poke through my shirt, and you're probably like, what is he doing? No, it actually says communist, like communist. So it's actually a slight at her, but that's why. So don't freak out. That's what my shirt says. Calling her a communist because she is a communist. Insane. So this one says, so this was a breaking post from Crazy News for Real. Says Oregon to become a sanctuary state. It's exactly what I just said. Oregon will become a sanctuary state for sex offenders under Senate Bill 820 and 821, backed by Tina Kotek. Like, there has to be other solutions to this than these 2 Senate bills. Like, this can't be real. Why are we, and just like the Democrats, how they got rid of, I don't know if you know this, but in Oregon, if you get arrested now, you can no longer have your mugshot displayed by the media. Like, they can no longer release your mugshot to the media. Like, that's a law here in Oregon that was passed by the Democrats conveniently during the 2020 riots, when Governor Tina Kotek's chief of staff was arrested during these riots. And they conveniently passed that bill during that time. That was called a pro-Antifa bill. But guys, this is like madness, man. Like, did you have thoughts? You're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say the funny thing is that they're trying to eliminate the work simply like it seems like when they can't do the work or like if it's just a lot of work rather than actually work hard and maybe spend the money, they just like, let's just get rid of the work and just move on.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
that's literally how they are.
They just sweep it under the rug.
And
it's like telling your kid to clean their room, just throw everything in the closet and you go like, why are rooms clean? Open the closet, everything falls out.
Dude, that's literally how Oregon Democrats operate, because they do that same thing as like, oh, our kids are failing, so what do we do to just sweep it under the rug? Oh, let's just lower graduation requirements so kids can just graduate with D's and F's. So it's like basically pointless to just pay attention in school. Yeah, and then like at the Oregon Youth Authority, when I worked at McLaren, it was like, oh, there's we're having trouble rehabilitate these people with these soft policies because they don't allow the staff there to carry weapons anymore. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to carry any kind of weapons or handcuffs or anything like that in a freaking correctional setting. This is at a youth correctional facility run by the state of Oregon. And what do? Like, oh, we can't rehabilitate, so we're just going to come in and pardon. The governor goes in every year and pardons a bunch of kids that are in there that were locked up. They go in there and they just pardon them. They just go, oh, look, we rehabilitated them. We'll just pardon them and we'll just let them go. Oh, look, they rehabilitated. Like, this is what Democrats do. So here's some reactions from around X. We always like to look at reactions because there's always some fire reactions around there. MC Marshall, 1989, said SB 821 is an attempt to shield sex offenders and predators, putting every Oregonian at risk, especially children. It's just truly disgusting that anyone would even introduce such a bill. And then this Free All Voices 84 said, Governor Tina Kotek loves being number one in all the wrong things. Now she just wants to make it so sex offenders don't have to register. This would allow a crime with a high recidivism rate to go unchecked. Let your reps know what Oregonians think. And so there's some good people in Oregon still that are fighting this nonsense, including us, including producer Vlad, including people, there's a lot of conservatives in the state. Hey, Chris Hansen, do you need some new material? Oregon is chock full of sexual predators that our governor Tina Kotek is trying to hide. You would never run out of work. Chris Hansen. I'm Chris Hansen. Have a seat. Remember that guy? I love him. Does he still do those shows?
I don't think so, but I saw he did like a promo video recently.
Sit down. I want that big, fat, juicy booty. Remember, he'd always used to read it out. He used to be on NBC, right? And the rest of them changed their name, gender to keep from having to file. Yep. And how many of them are over 36 work in schools with our children? Great question. This is typical leftist logic, unreal. Your state can only be as good as its citizens. Our governor is terrible. The worst governor in the United States. I would say Kate Brown is probably a little bit worse so far. Legislators are part of her club that does not represent Oregon. We true Oregonians, with the help of the federal government, will expose them for who they are. I love this optimism here. How we vote is going to change. No more mail-in votes. And then this person says, great, we've lured the drug addicted. We've lured the homeless. We've lured the progressive leftist idiots. I have a great idea. Let's lure the sex offenders. You can't hate Oregon politicians and Governor Tina Kotek enough. We're not supposed to hate because God tells us to love everybody, even our enemies. They actually warns us about cursing our enemies, but in this case, we very dislike these people and they need to be out of power. They're evil. That's what's true for sure. You're like, no, we hate them. Okay. All right. You do you. Oregon Democrats are always trying to be helpful. Always trying to be helpful. And then the last reaction here by the Oregon GOP X account says a sales tax by any other name is a sales tax. The proposed tax on tires. Oh, this is the tires. They're trying to tax all tires for 4% in Oregon. Horrible idea here. And that's to what? Fund transportation?
Yeah, it says to fund pet projects having nothing to do with road maintenance, fund mass transit systems, wildlife crossings over highways, like fund random things that they could fund with all the money they're wasting. But no, let's add another tax.
Yeah, let's tax the citizens. Let's tax the citizens on some good stuff on tires and get money to fund all this, just like you said, all this useless stuff instead of, how did that work out when Oregon got $6.4 billion education money from the federal government? What do they do with that? Oh, our kids are 48th. Our kids can't even freaking read or write or do math because the teachers are too busy teaching them how to, change their gender. But What happened to throwing the hundreds of millions of dollars at the homeless problem in Portland? The Democrats, they don't know. They're incompetent. They're evil and they're incompetent. It's a bad combination, and you get states like Oregon. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, make sure you share it. If you found it informational, share it. It really helps me when you share this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. If you're on X, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, make sure you follow at David Medina PDX. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for joining me.